Welcome to Feeling Asian, a podcast where two Asians talk about their feelings. I'm Hyunji Mayer.
And I'm Brian Park.
And we have an amazing guest, like always, and they're Asian. Woo! Asians! Let's just cheer for Asians. It's an honor.
Every moment, every day, every second is an opportunity to celebrate us for being Asian.
Why not?
Let's do it. And per Feeling Asian tradition, before we introduce our wonderful guest, we got to do our Patreon shoutouts, Hyunmi.
And if you want to celebrate Asians, you can donate to our Patreon.
If you want to do that, you can do so at Patreon, patreon.com/feelingasian. Hyunmi and I offer different subscription tiers with different exclusive benefits. But any donation amount gets you a shout out on the podcast where we guess who you are based on your name alone. And Are you tapped in, Hyunmi? Are you in the zone?
Wait, you said we guess who you are, but you said "oo you are." "Uyu" means milk in Korean. That was funny.
Okay, I'm going to take that. That is a sign that Hyunmi is incredibly tapped into her psychic abilities right now.
Yes.
Well, our first shout out for this episode goes out to Jun Camo. Camo is spelled K-A-M-O.
Jun Camo. Jun sounds like an Asian name and Camo sounds like a non-Asian name, which is like my name, Hyunmi Mayer. Maybe they're biracial?
Camo seems Southeast Asian.
Oh, right.
Possibly.
Sorry, I just thought like camouflage. Okay, my psychic vibe.
Oh.
Yeah, what?
Oh, I have a psychic vibe now.
Oh, you got a vibe? What's your vibe?
Okay, yeah. So Jun Camo.
Yeah.
Speaking of camouflage, Jun Camo. Wow, I'm surprised that we've never guessed this for our Patreon donors. Jun Camo is a huge hype beast, incredibly into sneakers.
Beast. Yeah. Brian, we've never accused anyone of being a hype beast before. Why? There's so many Asian hype beasts.
I don't know why. We have excluded 50% of our demographic right there.
I'm getting strong hype beast vibes for sure.
Jun Camo, yes. Yeah. Always wearing the freshest Jordans and Nike sneakers, looking good as hell.
Making so much money off of reselling Yeezys. You know the vibe.
But right? That is a side but that's a side hustle. They have a main hustle that is that appeases their Asian parents. But their side hustle is reselling sneakers.
What's their... Can I guess the main hustle? The main hustle is... It's just this is maybe so stereotypical. Just like some like finance. You know, like a finance hype beast guy.
Oh,
vibe,
for sure.
Right?
Yeah. Yep. That is 100% Jun Camo.
Yeah.
But Jun Camo is also hot. So we are saying that they're a hype beast, finance, but they're... incredibly hot on top of all of that.
Of course. You know what's so funny about hype beast stuff? I feel like if you know about it, you know. But like if you don't, you have like no idea. I like went on a date with this Asian man like a few months ago and I had no idea, but he was wearing like some sort of like hype beastie pants.
Okay.
And so we were like standing somewhere and like these hype beastie kids like were freaking the fuck out. They're like, ah! And I was like, what's like, are you like a celebrity? Like, or what's going on? He's like, no, these pants, I guess. That's Jun Camo. I went on a date with Jun Camo.
I want to give Jun Camo more credit than that date you went on.
Why?
Even though the hypebeast teens are freaking out over Jun's pants, Jun is still going to keep it very low key. And be like, oh, I have no idea what they're talking about. But secretly they know it's some fucking archival acronym Hiroshi Fujiwara fragment design thing. Yeah, I have no
Sick.
idea about hypebeast stuff. It's not like I know. Whoa,
That
those
sounded
names
like you
just
knew,
came out
Brian.
of me.
Brian knows all about it. He's pretending. He's like, Fujimaro. I don't know anything about this.
Let's just move on to our second shout out.
Brian's a secret hype beast. Who's the second person?
Okay. So our second shout out is Rhoda Yun on behalf of Cormac M. So Cormac M donated to our Patreon and specifically requested that we shout out Rhoda Yun.
Rhoda's such a good name.
Rhoda's a great name. Rhoda's an incredibly smart person name.
Yeah, for sure. Smart,
Yeah.
artsy.
I'm going to guess that Rhoda she specializes in artificial intelligence.
Okay.
She's like in the MIT Media Lab, like on the forefront of incredibly, you have to be super smart on the apex of science and technology, but she does really cool shit with all of it. Yeah.
My psychic reading is Rhoda is very intelligent and very talented, but for some reason, this is the reading I'm getting, she's stuck in a job that she hates.
Oh.
That's the vibe I'm feeling. It's not her fault, but somehow she's like she's like working at like what's that place? YouTube or something? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like Facebook or something. You know, like she's just like, fuck this. I'm so smart. What am I doing at Squarespace? I don't know, like one of those things. That's what I'm picking up.
Youngmi, this is a special episode because we finally spoke to the hypebeasts in the Asian American community, but in the same breath, we have just alienated the entire tech community by saying that you work a dead end
Nobody
job.
likes working in tech. Come on.
And
come on.
100% of tech
Shut
is
up.
Asian American.
They're like, there's so many listeners right now like who are smart
you have
and
a
they hate their
soul crushing
amazing
job working at YouTube, Facebook, Snapchat,
making like
Salesforce.
$500,000 a year. I don't even know how much those people make. Probably like $1 million a year or something.
Oh my!
But-
Tech people
they're
make
just like-
so much more money than I'm
How
always
much money?
surprised when I learn.
How much do you
Like
think
there's-
you would? Yeah. How much do you think you would make?
Their starting salaries out of college are $150K, $200K.
Damn.
So if you're working for 5 years, you're making $300K. It's always a lot more than. I'm always surprised whenever I learn.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Is it worth your soul getting sucked out of your body every day, though? Yes.
I don't know. you can get some pretty fucking cool archival 1985 dead stock Jordan 1s with that money. What's up?
True
What's
that.
going on?
True that.
Whoa,
Where'd you just go, Brian? Wow, we're
I
learning
don't
so much
know.
about Brian. Yet again, today the Patreon shoutouts are just us learning a lot about Brian.
I don't know. Holy shit. Like a spirit took over me.
Rhoda,
Anyways.
I'm so sorry about your job, but thank you for listening to the podcast. We're here for you.
And Cormac, thank you for donating to the podcast. And also thank you, Rhoda, for supporting the podcast. And our last shout out for this episode goes out to Serena Singh.
Serena, you already know the vibe. Serena Singh, so hot sounding. Why does everyone sound hot? Am I just horny?
Maybe. The question is, when are you not horny? Especially in the summer of our Lord and Savior 2021.
Lord and Savior.
Serena Singh is a DJ. That is my guess. My psychic vibe is she's a DJ.
Yeah, I feel that too. And I feel like she lives in Williamsburg. That's the psychic vibe I'm getting.
Lives in Williamsburg, or if she's not a DJ, she's an Instagram person who just makes money by being at cool parties.
You're saying that she has rich parents, and that's what I'm.
No. I think she makes money.
We've never accused anyone of having rich parents either. Today's the day.
Oh wow, this is a day of a lot of firsts.
A lot of hurt feelings today.
Oh god,
Serena Singh,
watch our
I feel
numbers plummet after this episode.
I feel like the vibe is she has rich parents, but also a great DJ and a nice apartment in Williamsburg.
However, in true Asian parent fashion, they are investing in her. And it will be a good investment because Serena is a incredibly talented DJ.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's a strong psychic. And also,
I'm proud of
indirectly,
you. Yeah.
indirectly, that means that if our guess is true, Serena's parents are indirectly investing in us because Serena is...
Thank you. Serena's parents.
Wow. Wow.
Wealthy parent. Thank you so much for the $3 a month. I'm just kidding. I don't know how much she donated, but
She actually donated $100 a month.
wow. Thank you, Serena's parents. Did she really? Wait,
No.
scratch my Patreon. I'm gonna be like, she sounds like a supermodel. She sounds like the most wonderful person I've ever heard in my life.
She
I want
works
to be
an
friends with her.
incredibly fulfilling job that isn't Facebook or Snapchat.
A selfless, beautiful person. Thank you, Serena.
Thank you. Well, I think those are the shout outs for this episode. Thank you again for everyone who listens and donates to our Patreon. Once again, you can do so at patreon.com/feelingasian if you want to make a donation. Youngmi, I think it's time to introduce our guest this week.
I'm so excited. I've been following this person on Instagram for a while now. I'm like a very big fan of her work, and I was like really, really excited when they agreed to do the podcast.
Woo! Listeners, you're in for a treat this week. Our guest this week is an incredibly talented multimedia artist. Everyone, please give your ears for Hyunji Park.
Woo! Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for doing the
Yes.
podcast.
Thank you. I just gave myself a cheer. That's so cringe. I'm so sorry.
No, I always do that. I clap for myself all the time. I woo for myself. I do this like wave
Totally.
thing. It's
That's
Okay,
entirely
okay.
on us.
Yeah. Okay.
Honestly, half of the guests make that same comment of why they don't understand why they wooed for themselves, and I think it's because Youngmi and I are both inherently cringe, and you're picking up on those vibes.
You're influencing me.
we make it awkward for everybody. No, we gotta celebrate Asians, which means celebrate ourselves.
You're right. You're
Yes.
totally right.
Unapologetically Asian, unapologetically cringe.
Yeah, I'm
Wouldn't
wooing
have
for
it any
myself.
other way.
Yes, I will continue to woo for myself.
I walk into restaurants, walking into buildings. Woo! I'm here. Woo!
And then the Korean woman taking your order is just not going to react whatsoever.
This crazy bitch that woos for herself is here again.
Well, Hyunji, we're so glad that you could do the podcast. And before we ask you how you feel, Youngmi, how are you feeling?
Oh my god. You know, honestly, I'm feeling kind of scrambled. I feel like I don't know if you can sense like I'm scrambled in the brain. I think it's like there's this intense heat wave, Hyunji, in New York right now, and it was like this week was like boiling outside. And I think it like just like kind of like made me really confused and irritated. But I have a funny story. Speaking of like wooing for myself, when I go into a Korean restaurant, I went to a Korean restaurant yesterday, and I was wooing for myself. But allegedly, at this Korean restaurant, I was on a allegedly date with an allegedly white man, derogatory. Allegedly.
Wow.
And
Wow.
you know, like when you walk into a Korean restaurant, or like if whatever Asian or like person of color you are, if you go into your people's restaurant with a white person and
Your
you get
home
a look.
court.
You get a look, a little look, just a little, a look, you know? So I got a look. And maybe some passive aggressive forks coming to your table, or you know, something. I got a little look, and then the server being like, hello, be careful, table hot, you know, like that. And then I'm like, okay, Mr. Kim, calm down, okay? I know what you're trying to do, hurt my feelings, whatever. But it's not like obviously it's like not that bad, but it's like it's funny because like you get a look from like your Asian family
Colleagues.
comrades, brethren. So that was kind of happening, which also like Korean people usually don't really read me as Korean anyway, so they're like, this is called pork belly, and I'm like, okay, you know. But this is really funny. So there's like a table sitting next to us, and the woman was like, there's a woman and a man, and the woman was like glaring at me, and I was just like, I don't really know what's going on. And it was 3:30 in the afternoon, and she was, I say this with the deepest love and respect, she was drunk. I was like, this is my kind of fucking person. I love her already. She was just having fun with her friend, you know. It's like, and she was just like glaring at me, and I was just like, well, I don't know what's gonna happen, but I can sense her looking at me. And then also I was having soju too, because you know that's how we roll. And then my date went to the bathroom, and she was like, there's like a plastic divider because of COVID, and she was like, I just want to tell you. She was like, I just want to tell you that I love your TikToks. And I was like, oh my God, really? like, so like, oh my God, what? She was like, I'm like such a big fan of your TikToks. And I was like, and she's like, I'm sorry I'm bothering you. And I was like, are you kidding me? You've like made my life. Like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. I was like, I'm the main character. Like, did everyone hear her? Like, just being like that. And she was like, yeah, I didn't want to bother you while you're, and she was like, how's your date going? And she was like so angry and sus about this white guy. She was not white. And she was like, I love your TikToks because I work in a Japanese restaurant and I know exactly how it feels when white people are like bothering you and stuff like that. She's like, how's your date? She was like, how's your date going? Like, she was like so like suspicious. And I was like, oh, it's just like, and I was like scared for him. So I was like, it's just my friend. And he's nice. He's like, don't beat this poor man up. And she was like, oh, is it going well? Okay, just checking on you. Like, she got my back. And she was like, I want to buy you a shot. But I'm not going to buy him a shot. And she kept saying that. And I was like laughing so hard. And then she was like, I'm going to buy you a shot. I'm not buying him a shot though. And so then he came back, and then she was still like hanging over the curtain talking to me, and he was like making a refer. He was like, oh, like he thought like, I don't know what he thought. And then I was like, oh, like this is my friend. And then they were talking, and then she was like, I was like, oh, he's fine. So she like ended up buying us both a shot at 3:30 p.m.
Nice.
But I thought that was so funny, and I was laughing so hard. And I wanted to say, speaking of being recognized, Brian and I were out earlier, and like this like super hot like white woman was like, I love your podcast. And I was like, damn, Brian, look at us.
Why? Oh, I noticed that. And I was like, wow, our reach is a lot larger than I anticipated. This is great. Yeah. So that was really funny. It made me really laugh. But I feel very, I guess how I'm feeling is I feel very like confused. I think it's the weather. I'm like really like, I'm like very like, I don't know what I need right now. You know, like, do I need to drink water? Like, I feel tired, you know? Yeah. Anyway, how about you, Brian? How are you feeling? I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling just good all around. It sounds fake, but yeah, I just really positive vibes. First and foremost, I want to go on the record, and Youngmi Mayer posted a meme on our Feeling Asian Instagram account yesterday. It said Brian's dating history, and it was a photo of cereal of Cap'n Crunch's Oops All Berries, but she replaced berries with Oops All White People. Oops All White Girls. And for the listeners, Youngmi just went on the record. And
you know,
Youngmi is allegedly was seen out in public with a white man.
Derogatory. Allegedly.
Allegedly. But yeah, overall, I'm just feeling really good and really grateful. Yeah, last week was hard because, I touched on some family matters that I'm going through, but on the flip side, I am going to visit my family in a couple of weeks in Texas, which I'm very much looking forward to. And yeah, we have a lot of exciting things cooking up for this podcast, and it makes me feel really good, Youngmi. Just this morning we found out that Spotify featured our podcast on the best of podcasts of the week to check out. We're literally right next to Barack Obama. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have some exciting things cooking up, and we're really excited to announce that once those are all set into place.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't know, in times of when you receive these whenever I receive these markers of validation, I've learned to celebrate them more, be more proud of myself, and kind of just be more grateful overall, because
yeah,
I don't know, I just think a lot of these, those are the things that we work so hard for, and it's easy to sort of just forget that they ever happened to you, because it feels like at least I always feel like I'm just running on a hamster wheel, trying to make shit or whatever. But there's a lot to be grateful for. I'm just happy that I'm able to do this with you all, and I'm excited to visit my family, and and on top of that, I've also been dating someone, and it's going really well. And this is related because Hyunji, I told her that we were going to interview you, and she said that then she went into her closet and she has a T-shirt from your shop.
What?
I'm so embarrassed.
Yeah. I was like, wow, let's go.
I hope she wears it on your next date so I can be there with you.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's kind of how I'm feeling. It's just like good vibes all around.
Wait, Brian, I just want to say I know that it doesn't sound like a big thing, but I feel like when good things happen to you and you can just be like happy and be like, hey, I feel happy. Everything is going great. I'm going to see my parents soon. I'm dating somebody that I like and everything's going well. Like that for me takes a lot of I don't know. That's a lot of practice for me to be able to say that. Because for me,
yeah, I
get panicked or something. I feel a sense of dread when things are all okay. And I think it's having kind of a hard childhood. And it took me a long time to just be things are great now, and I can just sort of breathe and enjoy it and not feel guilty or feel like something bad is gonna happen and take this away from me at any moment,
Yeah, no, I'm exactly the same way, which is why it takes effort, like you said.
Yeah.
Being conscious of it and verbalizing it, and not, each time I practice it, it gets less and less quote unquote cringy to feel that way. Mm-hmm. But something that has helped me with this is through my life, I have witnessed people who are incredibly, almost to a fault, overconfident. And I'm like, how are you like this? It makes zero sense. And then I witnessed that nothing bad will ever happen. And in fact, it seems like society rewards those types of people, especially in creative spaces where, maybe your work isn't the best, but if you are the most boisterous and you have the most bravado and you're like, I am the shit. I'm working on the coolest fucking shit ever, man. It's this sick concept, and it's literally just some brand. You're just making some commercial for some fucking tech brand or something or whatever the fuck. But those people constantly get rewarded. And so I'm like, I'm doing stuff that I'm really proud of, I'm happy of. So why am I so self-critical and hard of myself? And it's so hard for me to share this. And when those people are out there and it seems like good things happen, you know?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that aside, good vibes. I think it's a great point that you mentioned that, Youngmi. And, you know, it wasn't easy, you know, because when you
It's not
eviscerated
easy.
me and called me out for my dating history, it took a lot of work to recover, but I'm
I
in
was
a good place
projecting.
right now.
Oops. Okay,
Oops, all white people.
One white person. Come on.
Oops, all white people. Jury's out. We have eyes everywhere. The Feeling Asian podcast. You're on warning right now, young me. But enough about us. Hyunji, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really excited about the future. I have some like new exciting opportunities and like plans coming up with like a couple of different projects that I'm working on. I am also going to be seeing family, but like for the first time in like, I'm seeing my parents for the first time in like 5 years, and then my
Wow.
brother for the first time in like 8 years.
Wow.
Wow.
So
Oh my gosh.
That's
I'm
so
really
much.
nervous. Yeah, I'm like my brother. I grew up in North Carolina. My brother's still in North Carolina.
Wow.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know why he's still there, but anyways, it's been like 8 years, and I can't wait for him to not recognize me with all my tattoos.
He hasn't seen you with tattoos?
No, like we don't.
Whoa.
I don't know what he looks like. Like I don't like we don't follow each other in social media or anything. So like we like totally don't know anything about each other. It's just we're like never really close.
Right,
but
right.
Yeah, and then my parents, I'm really nervous about seeing because I've had a pretty rough relationship with them. They still don't know about my face tattoo. I'm probably gonna cover it up with makeup.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see.
Wow. I feel
Oh
like
my
this.
gosh.
That's making me so anxious. I feel like that's like such a. I mean, I hear a lot of people that are in like creative industries or something or any industry that's like not aligned with like a lot of what their parents are okay with, hide that part of their life from them. So like, that's making me so anxious.
Same.
And you said, okay, so your brother doesn't know about your tattoos, but do your parents, have they seen your tattoos? Your non-face tattoos?
They know about my tattoos on my arm and my neck. The one on my neck, I got like maybe like the third time they disowned me, and I was like, perfect timing. All right, I'm just gonna like get my neck tattoo.
Third
They
time.
can't. Yeah, it's the third time. Yeah.
Neck
Oh.
tattoo time for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So-
Yeah, that was going to be my follow-up question is how did they react? And you mentioned that they disowned you for the third time after the neck tattoo.
Oh no, they disowned me, and then I got.
And
the
then
neck
you got the
tattoo.
neck tattoo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Got
yeah.
it.
It was like
Yeah, 'cause-
the good opportunity to get it.
Because you know what? Like, everyone knows Asian parents are always like, I'm going to disown you if you get a tattoo. But then if they've already disowned you, neck tattoo
Yeah.
time.
There you go. There you
There
go.
you go.
Wow.
Wow. That sounds like there's like so much like of a story there. Like, can we ask you about your like family history or like what led you to, I guess, not see them for so long?
Totally. Yeah, I mean, my parents are very traditional. And like, I mean, they're both from Daejeon in Korea, which is like,
Holy shit.
it's a boring. Wait,
my
really?
parents are from Daejeon.
Really?
Yeah. Yes.
Whoa!
No shit.
It's so boring there. There's like nothing.
Oh, I was
like-
going to say I love it.
Oh, really?
And I have no
Ryan.
tattoo.
Same. I love it too. Wait,
my God.
that's crazy. And yeah. Okay, wow, that's really wild. Like all of my family, like both sides are from Daejeon too.
All my family's from Daejeon too.
Maybe we're
And
somehow related. Just
Crazy
kidding.
thing is, when my parents immigrated to America, they immigrated into North Carolina. when they
Okay, we
first
have
arrived.
the same. We have the same parents.
Wow.
Both of your last names are
Oh,
Pak.
Our part.
Yeah. Also,
Wow.
wait. I was born in Texas.
Whoa.
What's happening?
Oh.
This
Wait.
is crazy.
Should I
This
leave?
is crazy. So we're getting dinner on August 13th. And
No,
my
no way.
my parents.
Surprise,
My
surprise.
parents
I'm your brother.
Wow.
Whoa.
You didn't recognize me, did you?
Holy
That's so
crap,
funny.
that's crazy.
Wow.
Okay, sorry. Didn't mean, I just got excited when you said Taejeon.
No, totally. Yeah. Taejeon. Yeah, so, I mean, I'm sure as you know, it's like not like very progressive or urban. It's like sleepy, very sleepy, like 80s architecture. Everything's beige. So my dad immigrated to America first. He was the first person to go to college, and he was the first person to also come to America. He landed in Iowa.
Wow.
For his master's. And he tells me his like first day in America story, and I'm just like, oh my god, I would have just flown back to Korea. So he gets off the flight, and he has like 2 big bags, $500 in cash, a map, and an English-Korean dictionary. He leaves the airport, gets in this like cab, and he's like pointing at a map like, here, and it's like a motel that's like a block away. And he like tries to get a room in the motel, and then they're like, sorry, we don't have vacancy, which I think is total bullshit. Like, it's in the middle of Iowa, like, So his first night in America, he sat outside the bench of this motel and smoked 2 packs of cigarettes.
Nice.
Korean king.
Yeah.
Brian's Brian's like, wait, that's my dad's story.
Yeah. I'm like, wait, so you're my brother? I haven't seen you in 8 years.
Oh my god.
Wow. Man, like back in the day, it's so crazy because like you didn't have the internet, like, and there's no like credit card. Like, I mean, obviously there were, but like not for like immigrants, and like you just have to like have a bunch of cash on you and just like
totally.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, you couldn't just like book an Airbnb or like call someone. Like, it's just, I'm like, wow, I don't know, I would be freaking out.
Crazy.
But
sorry, go on.
Oh yeah, so then he like went back to Korea in between his masters, met my mom on a blind date in Daejeon, and they dated for like 4 months, and he was like, I have to go to Texas for he's getting his PhD, Texas A&M, and he was like, will you marry me and come back with me? And I think at first she said no. And then
Legend.
And then yeah, exactly. And then she was like, actually, I'm getting old, I should get married. And so she married him.
He was like 22. She's like, I'm turning 22 next summer, so.
Yeah, right. No, I think she's like 28 actually, which is a little bit older for Korean women to like not be married.
Famous Korean proverb: it is only true love after they deny you once and then they settle on the second time.
And you're also 28 years old.
Yeah, seriously. But yeah, so then she did end up going to Texas. I was born there. My brother's older. He was born in Korea actually, and then I mostly grew up in North Carolina like my whole childhood till like 17, and then I like got out of there as soon as I could. But my parents were so traditional and like oddly, like they would do these weird things. Actually, it's not weird. I'm kind of like, if I ever have kids, I'm gonna make them do this too. but like, actually, so it's kind of, I have like a little bit of appreciation, but I'm also like, as like a 12-year-old kid, like, why do I have to do this? But so like every month they would give me like a small allowance, and I would have to, anything I spent my money on, I'd have to keep the receipt, input it into an Excel spreadsheet, like what it was, the date, how much, staple the receipts and print it, and then I literally had to present it, like stand up and present it to them every like first of the month. They were really big on presentation. So I did that. They're called money reports, and I did that for like 7 years of my childhood.
Whoa! So they were just grooming you to be like a fucking rock star doing
CEO.
Tax auditing for.
Yeah, I'm like terrible with money though. Is the thing is I think that's I was like rebelling. I was like, I'm throwing away all my receipts now.
Wow.
Wait, so then what was the point of the report? Like, would they judge you on what you spent, or it was just so you know what you were spending money on?
I think it was more of just like to get in the habit of like, I should keep track of what I'm spending money on.
Right.
But yeah, they would also make me do like, we'd get like Time magazine, and they'd be like, you have to do book reports on Time magazine articles.
Wow.
and like PowerPoints on your New Year's resolutions. And
wow.
yeah, they were kind of hardcore in this like really weird way.
That is so
Wow.
interesting.
Yeah, I thought my parents were hardcore, but now I'm like, I take back everything. I'm sorry, mom and dad. Oh my god.
I'm so interested in this money report. So if you said like last month I spent like $32 at Subway, like getting tuna melts or something, that they would be like, that's kind of like, would they judge you like on your spending or no? They would just like listen.
I mean, you know, they're Korean, of course, but like, I mean, I think it was less like it was less super like you need to spend money on like this and this, but more of just like, okay, well, like, you know, you should really like be spending money like less on that, but like it was more just like the skill and like getting used to doing like recording that.
So it sounds like they were really really regimented about like organization and keeping on top of all of your shit, and they kind of imbued that onto you. And you said that you left when you were 17. So during this time when you were putting these presentations and doing these book reports on arbitrary Time magazine articles, like, were you into it? Like, did you indulge it? Did you like it? Or did you fucking, like, did you feel trapped? Or did you fucking hate yourself this entire time?
Oh my God, I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I think it led to me being like a huge, like, just rebelling against them. Like, I mean, my first tattoo, like, I never like wanted to get tattoos or like cared to, at least at first. I got a tattoo like the second I turned 18, just because I could. Like, I knew my parents would hate it, so I was like, I'm gonna do this. It was also like reclaiming my body as like, oh, this is my this is my body. It's not my parents' like property or like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I was just like, this is a reminder that like my parents don't own me. And I'm in control.
We
that
just
makes
had
so much sense.
You know, like our therapist episode, we had the fat sex therapist. I don't know if you follow them on Instagram, and they were saying like they, you know, their like background is about like diet trauma and like sexual trauma as children, and they had made this really great point about how, you know, like when you live in like these Asian cultures, the whole idea is that your parents make you believe that your body is theirs to like judge and like make it look like they want. Like they're like, you have to like for me it was like a big part of my childhood where they're like, you have to lose weight because we want you to be skinny, and it like really like it reminds me of what you just said. And I think I have a lot of tattoos, and I feel like maybe that's a big part of why I did that too. Like I was like, you know, this is my body, it's always been my body, and it's like a way to take that back. That's like such an interesting thing that you just said. That didn't even occur to me.
Wow.
Totally, yeah.
So after you got your first tattoo, did they notice it immediately, or did you hide it from them for a bit?
Yeah, it's like in a hidden spot. It's like on my ribs. It's so stupid. I mean, it's not. It could be worse.
What is it?
It's just like an outline of like a little pine tree, which I don't even know why I got. But like no one sees it. But if they do, you know, they're like, do you really like Christmas or something? Like, why do you have this like pine tree?
I have a worst first tattoo, and it's hidden, and I'm gonna say it right now. I'm gonna tell the listeners, nobody knows about this. It's on my butt. It's so embarrassing. I don't want to say it. I'm gonna say it. It's on my butt, and it's a 4-leaf clover, and it says "Lucky You." So.
Oh my God.
That's great. You should keep that. I was gonna say I could cover it up for you, but you should keep that.
At this point, it's ironically cool, so everyone knows now. So I don't think your pine tree is that bad.
Wow.
That's great.
That's pretty bad.
I know,
those are
so
both
bad.
pretty badass. No, I don't have. I don't have any. I have 0 tattoos.
Wow.
Yeah, I love them. I appreciate them, but I think one day, as a joke, I asked my dad. My parents are both very conservative. I was like, "What if I got a tattoo?" My dad's. I don't think I've ever heard him so serious in my life. He looked me in the eye, straight into my soul, and he said, "If you ever get a tattoo, I am going to disown you." Straight up.
Oh no.
Wow.
And I was like trying, being like, come on, like that's so narrow-minded. So many people have tattoos now. And he's like, I know, you heard what I said. And we go to like bathhouses together, so I would never be able to hide it from him. And so that's it. That's the story. I don't have the conviction that you do, Hyunji, to rebel. So I'm just a good boy. I'm a good
So
Korean
many Asian
boy.
people don't get tattoos because of the 목욕탕, the bathhouse. That's what Sarah said
yes.
too. Wait,
Yeah.
so
The
can you tell
bathhouse
us?
is the great equalizer.
That's every Asian person will say that. They're like, I can't because then I have to go to the fucking bathhouse and an old lady will hit me, which has happened to me, by the way. Because if you have
Oh my
tattoos,
God.
they think it's really bad, so
Yeah.
old people hit you. That's
Wow.
literally happened to me. Wait, so can you tell us about? Okay, so then you got your first tattoo on your ribs. I thought you were gonna say it was song lyrics, but pine tree. So you got, and then like, what was your tattoo like story from there?
Yeah, so I mean, I think I got like a few when I was 18, but none, they're all just kind of like whatever. But I think, so actually, I think the next like significant tattoo that I started getting like a lot more, and specifically a lot more like red ones, which a lot of people like kind of know me for doing a lot of like red and black tattoos. Was so I went to fine art school. I studied sculpture, and I was actually not making objects. I was doing mostly like performance art and like conceptual works. But it's kind of like I rolled to think about it back then, maybe like at like 19 or something doing this work. But so in Korea there's like this, Koreans are so superstitious, and
Yes.
they're like, don't write your name in red ink. It means you're
Right.
like, it's like a death omen.
You're gonna die.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna get my name tattooed on me in red ink. So my
Wow.
friend was like
Wow.
handpoke tattooing me for this performance, because I was like, so actually funny story. So Hyunji is my Korean name. It's actually not my legal name. And so my name is actually a funny story. So my legal name, actually I'm gonna rewind it. So my brother, my older brother, he's kind of like more or less the golden boy. And my grandma, of course, so classic, had this psychic dream of a dragon predicting his birth. So his name is Yonghyun.
Yonghyun.
Yeah, which Yong means dragon.
Yeah.
So he gets this badass name, and I'm the first and only American born in the family. So my parents were like, all right, let's give her an American name and then like a Korean name. But on my birth certificate, it's just my American name. And they're like, what's a good thing? And they used to watch The Simpsons. And so I'm named after Lisa Simpson.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Wait. Okay, first, that is an incredible story, but I am losing my fucking mind right now because my older sister was born in Korea, and I was born in America, like your older brother. And then, well, my legal name, my birth certificate says Dongkun, but my sister named me Brian after 90210, the TV show. So we're both kind of like named after American TV shows.
This is
But
amazing.
90210, that's like a cool show. I mean, I guess The Simpsons is cool. Don't get me wrong. Lisa Simpson,
it's got a
is
lot
cool.
of cultural cachet. Yeah, Lisa
Yeah.
Simpson is cool.
She's cool, but I'm like,
Wow.
don't you dare dead name me. Everyone knows my legal name.
Yeah.
I just put myself out there. But yeah, so I was like killing off my old self.
Wow.
I
Going
love-
by a different name.
I love that story of your performance art piece. Actually, I think you said it was cringe, but I think that's like such an amazing idea, like writing your name in red. And I
Thank
swear to
you.
God, okay, the red thing. Today I went to like a ramen restaurant and I was like writing, and they just like said to like write what you want to order, and the pen was red, and I was like, oh, like for a second I was like, oh no, it's red, and then I was like, come on. But I like still get like weird about the red pen thing.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Where's your name tattooed on your body?
It's like on my arm.
Oh,
Yeah, it's just you can kind of see it.
that's
It's
awesome.
just on my arm.
Okay.
That's really
But,
pretty.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so I feel like that really sparked like a lot of, I was like incorporating a lot of like tattooing in my works too, like unconventionally in like my fine arts work, and then of course also started tattooing But yeah, and then really went all in with the red and black tattoos.
So, but the issues that your parents had and you had with your parents, like what weren't about tattoos or what were, yeah. I don't know if that's too
yes,
personal. Yeah.
I mean they're totally also about the tattoos.
Right.
But also definitely about like my work. Actually, the first time they disowned me was it was also during a performance piece. So I was supposed to major in graphic design. Like that's what I got into school for. And I was like, all of a sudden I had this like epiphany and I was just like, oh my God, I can't do graphic design. Like I'm not cut out for it. I want to do like fine arts. So I switched to sculpture and like did this like performance installation where I was live Skyping my mom, but like set up like a pretend room in the background in front of in front of my class for crit. And I told her I like switched my major and then like my parents were like, we can't support you. Like my dad sent an email, and the best part, it was like, we can no longer support you. And the best part at the end's like, sent from my iPad. And I'm like, man, you can't even send it from your computer. Like,
wow. Well, that was another performance. That sounds like amazing. I'm like, I didn't know this part of like your work. That's like genius.
So ballsy.
That's so genius.
I think it was so awkward because I was kind of like half expecting them to like disown me. I was like, okay, they probably will, but I'm not sure. But like everyone in my class was just like, what do we do?
What just
like,
happened?
Yeah,
they
totally.
saw that happen live and then they disowned you.
Holy shit.
You know, I have to say that like I love your story. I mean, obviously like not it's sad, but like I feel like that like just the fact that Brian also got threatened to be disowned, like that's like a common, I feel like, threat that we receive. And like it's really interesting talking to somebody that like was like, no, I'm gonna do art, so who cares, you know?
Yeah,
like,
1000%. This is we're like cosmically intertwined, but at the fork I chose I'm gonna be a good boy, and you were like, fuck you, I'm a fucking badass, you piece of shit.
Well, I was just like, at this point I was like, I sacrificed so much, so I'll be damned if I didn't actually pursue what I like was wanting to do.
Exactly.
Right.
Because it's been super on and off, but constantly like about like that, like them finding out like about my work, because then for a while they like didn't know, like I was majoring in sculpture and they're like, oh, you're doing like ceramics, right? And I was like, sure, yeah, that's totally what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And they like found out about my tattoos, and like and then like I think the last time they really disowned me was like I was like pretty covered at this point, and they were like, no more tattoos, like okay, like please no more. And I'm like, it doesn't matter, like I'm like screwed at this point, like I have so many, like you wouldn't be able to tell if I got like 2 more or not. So I was like, clearly this isn't about the tattoos, this is about you controlling me.
Yeah.
So I got more tattoos.
Exactly.
And then
nice.
So you know.
Well, I have a couple questions now.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so you know, I know you through your tattoo work on Instagram, and you know, you're known. Your books fill up very quickly. You have this incredible tattoo practice, and your work is, you know, it goes without saying, you're like very, very talented and very good at what you do. Has your ability to be independent, and you set out your own path, you did what you did, and you're thriving, like have your parents sort of come around on that in any way?
I think only like slowly starting to, as to why I'm like, okay, maybe it's safe to like maybe see them. So actually my mom, I kind of have a better relationship with her at the moment, just because I actually see her putting in the work. Like it's actually amazing. Like she's like reading all of these books. She's read like Minor Feelings. She's reading all these books by these Asian American artists or authors, and I'm just like, this is incredible. Like So she's really putting in the work, and I'm like really willing to, you know, I do want to rebuild our relationship. I kind of have more issues with my father, classic. But yeah, I mean, I think she's slowly starting to come around to it. Like, I don't think she really knew, like the reality of how much I was like tattooing or depending on tattooing or like, I don't think my parents really knew what I was doing for the longest time. I still think they don't, because I'm kind of also all over the place. I also like make incense and like run like this space in LA. But yeah, I think they just are the type of people that would rather stay ignorant, you know, like ignorance is bliss. Because every time they actually try to like dig into me or like, you know, like look me up or whatever, they end up having a really angry phone call with me.
Oh my God.
Wow. You know, Korean, that's so funny, but also Korean parents they're very their mindset is very capitalistic and they're very pragmatic. And our previous guest, Dae Lim, who owns and operates like a cannabis business, like they came around to his business once like cannabis stocks started rising, and they like would preface it like, oh, you know about cannabis stocks and how popular it is in the stock market. Well, our son does that. So once tattooing or tattooing goes public on the NASDAQ or Dow Jones, then your parents are going to be like, you know, our daughter Hyunji, she was the early adopter.
Oh, that's funny. When I was in art school, like they never told people I was in art school. They would tell people I was on scholarship. Like
they're like, scholarship on what? They're like, she's on scholarship, no questions.
Exactly. Just scholarship. That's her studies.
You briefly talked about this, how your work is so diverse. Like you're doing so many different things now. I wanted to ask you as an artist, like, yes, you are known for your tattoo work, your Instagram, you show your work. How does that feel? Because you're a multimedia artist, you are a sculptor by trade, you have these other pursuits, but people sort of like know you as this tattoo artist who specializes in red and black ink. So like, I'm curious, like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think I kept going back and forth through like a bit of like an identity crisis where I was like, oh, I'm like an artist first, like, you know, like yes, tattooing is a part of my practice, but I think for a long time, like, it was really, tattooing was really great for me because, so I started tattooing like super DIY in my apartment, like stick and pokes, like really shitty stick and pokes, tattooing myself. And then once I finished school, my parents also disowned me. So I was just like, I have nowhere else to go. I have no family here that I like talk to. Everyone's in Korea. So I was like, okay, I have this like kind of useless sculpture degree. I'm going to apply to like every artist residency grant show I can apply to and get into and get money for. And so I was like traveling for 13 months, not living anywhere, tattooing. And tattooing was sustaining my traveling, and like I was surviving off of like tattooing while traveling. Like I kind of like rejected the like when people were like, oh, knew me as like a tattooer first or only as a tattooer, because the reason I really like tattooing as well is just like not only meeting really great people and like it's like it is a fun job. It's the hardest job I've ever had. But I think it's like I've always been like, oh, well, like I'm an artist first. I started tattooing as income. Not that it's purely the sterile transaction, but it is a transaction. Like it's my income. So and it's like, it's not like it's like if someone works at a coffee shop, it's not like it's like they're a barista. You know what I mean? Like their whole life is like a barista. So I feel like tattooing, it's like, it has like an expiration date for me. Like I don't plan on doing it forever. It's just a great gig for now. And I'm so grateful to be doing it. And that people actually want to get tattooed from me.
Right.
But it was it was almost like you sort of like fell into it because it was like sustaining you financially.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. I have so many thoughts about that. And I'm like trying to think what I should ask you first, because I feel like I guess my question would be like, what would you be happiest to be known for if not like tattooing?
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of taken a I'm always on and off break with like my fine arts work. So that's always been like
Right.
on off depending on how jaded I feel with the art industry.
Right.
But I guess in general just multimedia artists. So I feel like just in general like at least knowing or accepting that I also do these other things. Which I know is kind of hard. Like I guess I kind of pigeonholed myself too in like with Instagram, like it's how I get my clients mostly. So, you know, it is my income. So I'm like, in a way, like it's also a second job, like, you know, tending to Instagram to like engage and like post and so a lot of it is tattoo posts, of course, because I get a lot of clients from Instagram.
It's so interesting when somebody becomes successful and like there's so many people who would like kill to, you know, like have like that sort of recognition. It's just kind of like I feel like I understand how you feel too. It's just like, this is gonna sound stupid and corny, but I'm just gonna say it, everyone. Like I like, you know, like I make TikToks, but I was just kind of doing it to like sort of like subsidize like my stand-up career that stalled during COVID and like, you know, and like try to promote the podcast. And I just feel like that's how I feel about it too. I'm like, it's stupid. Like I don't care about it, you know, like that. But then I'm like, oh, like people would really like it has given me so many opportunities in my career and it's made me money at this point. And I'm like, why, you know, I feel like kind of like people would love this. Like I should just like sit in it and be like, I'm happy that people like this, you know what I mean? And like obviously I'm not saying that that's like what you're doing, but I feel like that's my relationship to something that I'm not 100% excited about. So
yeah, I mean, and that's why we asked the question, because it feels like a double-edged sword in a lot of ways, because in the time we live in now, you know, when you meet with creative directors or producers or development people, they will ask you like, how many followers do you have? Social media is very important in this day and age, and the way you build followers is the market's so saturated, so you got to find a unique angle to present yourself. Right. And you know, you pick a thing, and then once you get known for that thing, and I'm sure musicians go through this all the time too, where you're like, well, fuck, I don't want to be bound to this particular sound, and I want to do something different. But you know, people are like, play the hits. That's all we want. Like, I think so many artists go through that same
struggle with that,
like identity crisis in the age of social media.
It's like me, I'm known for making fun of white people, and then I get seen with a white person on a date at a restaurant, and my fans are like, "What the fuck is this, you lying bitch?" And then I have to be like, I'm sorry. It's social media. It's not real.
Someone without tattoos. Let's put this tattoo subject to rest. However, on a light note, I want to ask both Hyunji and you, Youngmi.
Yeah.
Are there like certain tattoos that you see on other people out in the wild, and it makes you like it evokes a strong reaction out of you?
Yes.
Like good or bad? I'm just curious, like which ones, what type?
I mean, they're typically like appropriative, you know. I mean, I get my fair share of like people wanting appropriative things. Like I've at this point turned off DMs for strangers because I like mentally can't take it anymore. But like I'll see like people like white guys with like geisha tattoos, and then like.
Yikes.
I've had people that like they'll message me and they'll be like, hey, can I get this Beatles lyric but in Asian letters? And I'm like, you don't even know the language, like Asian letters, like I'm just gonna do the like karate font that like that you see, like, but like it's just like sometimes it baffles me like how like I'm just like, how can people not like think more about like their intentions of wanting something forever on their body. Like I've had people that literally copy the tattoos on my body and then send a photo to me. Like I've had people that are like, oh, I really want to get your neck tattoo on my body. And I'm like, you don't even know what it is. Like, like, and
wow,
that's so invasive.
The highest form of flattery? Question mark.
Who's getting a lucky you tattoo on their butt is the question.
Oh, I will gladly get one.
I'm actually okay with it now. You know what's fun?
It's good.
The appropriative thing is so real. I'm really glad you brought that up because I feel like your work is very like Asian inspired too, right? So
yeah, well, I mean,
say?
totally. I mean, I do end up like, not that I only exclusively tattoo Asians, but I do tattoo like almost 85% Asians,
Right.
which is amazing. You know, like, so, which I think a large part of it is like my identity as an Asian woman. Like when I was first getting tattoos and when I started getting like cultural tattoos, I didn't know a single Asian tattooer. Like I got a lot of mine from white guys, which now I'm like, man, like I have so many friends now that are Asian and tattoo, and I'm like, I would have been like, it would have been so great to have like gotten that from them instead. You know, there's this like, just like it's a lot more comfortable, and like you have this like mutual understanding,
Right.
and it's just like, I'm glad that I can provide that for people I tattoo. Like it's always like a very like intimate one-on-one experience that like I feel like we like both delve into like our like childhood, and it's like a really like amazing experience getting to like connect with people on that level.
Right.
That makes so much sense.
And it makes sense because like you're doing these like Asian inspired, you know, symbols and letters, and it's like kind of weird. I mean, it's okay when white people get them, but it's like kind of weird. It's a little weird. You know what I mean? It's like the other day though, I saw a woman that looked, I don't know if she was white, but she had like a forearm tattoo, and it was the Statue of America and an American flag, and I was like, you're appropriating. And I'm just kidding. That's such a weird tattoo. I was like,
Yeah.
hey, what? Yeah, it's so weird. I have to say the funny thing, because Brian asked me about the tattoos and what I think about them. I feel like for a long time, I think there's like these like trends that come in and out, like, you know, like tramp stamps. I don't know if that's offensive, but like we would all like talk shit about people that had tramp stamps or like butterflies. So yeah, now it's back again. Like butterflies and those like stars and like nautical star. Now it's kind of cool again. So yeah. Who knows?
Well, I'm excited for the reveal episode in 2 weeks, Young Mi.
What reveal?
Your new lower back tattoo.
Yeah,
reveal.
I'm gonna get a tramp stamp. It's cool again.
I was gonna say, Brian, that should be your first one.
Oh wow. Okay, I want you to roast me. Not roast me, but this is my idea I've thought about it, and this is my idea for a tattoo. Now tell me, and you as an expert and a professional, tell me if that's on a scale of 0 to 10, how cringe is this? Okay. God, I'm embarrassed to say it, but basically,
Let's hear it.
the one idea I had was just to get the date. It has to be like an arbitrary date. Just get the date that I got the tattoo. So let's say it's today, July 2nd. Just get like 7/2/21 tattooed on my body, and my rationale for it is, I'm not a huge fan of like, well, anyways, my rationale for it is, there's only like a finite number of dates that we'll remember in our lifetime. It's usually like birthdays, death days, like maybe if we get married, like anniversary or our children's birthdays.
Yeah.
So because it's so finite, why not just like ascribe a special significance to just like add one more day to the list, and that could just be like, cool, 7/2/21. I'll remember this till the day I die. It's the day I got my tattoo. Otherwise, unless something crazy catastrophic happens that day, I'll probably forget it.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
you should do it. Actually, what's funny is I did like a raffle where like, you know, people could like buy a ticket and then they could get like a tattoo. So this guy won the raffle, and you know, he could pick from like all of these like assortment of different tattoos he could get, and he was Korean, like, but he's like from Korea and then moved to LA, but he got the date.
Oh my god!
So I am not original.
Wow!
I loved it. It was so great. I was like, this is amazing. I'm so into this.
Yeah.
Oh well,
Ryan.
wow.
But
Now that
you guys
I know,
can be twins.
oh,
Wow.
It'll be a different day
Wow.
unless you get it on like, I think he got it on like August 17th because it was like the day before my birthday, so that's why I remember.
yeah. Well, if I do get it, I have to wait until 11:50 p.m. to make sure that it's not a day of infamy. Just to be safe.
Yeah.
Gotta be safe. For our listeners, Hyunji, like, what are some projects that you have coming up that you are excited about that don't really fall under this umbrella of tattooing?
Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of like incense stuff. I make incense, but I also teach workshops. So at first I was doing like in-person workshops, but then with COVID, I started doing them online, and they really picked up, and like even like the New York Times like wrote an article about it, which I think actually,
Wow.
yeah, that's funny. It's like the one thing my parents were like, oh wow, like maybe like the incense is also like partially a legitimate thing. Yeah, so I'm like excited. Like I'm like just redesigned a lot of the packaging, and I'm like gonna be carried in a lot of like little shops, like a lot of actually like Korean American stores that are opening up that have reached out to me. So I'm like really excited to be like supporting another. And hopefully with my space. So I run like a studio space shop called Pablo Shop. Pablo means stupid in Korean. So it's meant to just be like fun and silly, which is kind of like the opposite of how people perceive me from Instagram. Everyone is always like really scared and intimidated at first, and then I'm just like really friendly actually. But so we like carry, you know, we are like also a shop, so we carry different items, books, incense of course, and also pre-COVID we're doing like workshops here, like other events, kind of just like want to work with other creatives, like host like space for them.
Hyunji, before we let you go, we like to ask this question to all of our guests, and that is, what is something that you're proud of?
I would say growth, like all of the growth I've like in myself, from like, I don't know, all of the years, from like a lot of like really tough years I've had, and just kind of like persevering and like seeing how far I've come. Like anytime I feel kind of like down or depressed, I'm always like, it always makes me feel better to like look back and be like, well, at least I'm like not at that point I was like a few years ago at my lowest. And I've like come so far. I have a lot to be grateful for. So I would say just like, yeah, definitely growth, like the amount, like all the great people I've met, and like the opportunities I have been given. But yeah, I'd say that's it.
You know, I just want to say, I was, you know, listening to your story, and I touched on it earlier, but like that, and you know, it was like lighthearted and kind of funny, which is probably like how a lot of us like deal with situations. But just the whole, your story about like, you know, being disowned by your parents for just being who you are, and like, you know, obviously I respect both of you a lot, and like I know Brian jokes about, he's like, oh, I'm like, I did the good thing, and but you know, but he's also like doing what he wants to do. I think that story sounds really difficult. I don't know, I'm getting emotional again, sorry. It sounds really difficult, and I really admire you for doing that. And I don't know why I'm always the one that's crying, because like I'm like, you're the one that like had to go through it. But I think I'm really, really happy that you talked about that on the episode, because I feel like a lot of people, you know, live under that threat, and a lot of people have done like what you're doing, and like took a stand against their parents, and like tried to reclaim their bodies and their lives. And I think that's like probably very it's probably helpful for them to hear you talking about like your experience. So I'm really thankful that you shared that.
Yeah, no, thank you. And like, you know what's funny is like I like follow you obviously, and like watch a lot of your stories and listen to the podcast, and like I like, you know, you'll mention like, you know, parenting me, know, and I'm always like, damn, I wish young me was my mom. Like
yeah, like I'll be your I was gonna say I will be your mom. That's so weird. What the? That's so creepy. Power cringe.
I said it first, so I'll take that.
I'm gonna like pat everyone on the head. It's okay.
And for our listeners, where can they find you and your work?
My Instagram is at park_HYUN_GI. My store is called Pablo Shop. It's BABO Shop, which you can also find at pabloshop.space. But yeah, thank you.
How about you, Brian? Where can everyone find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter and whatever socials at It's Brian Park. And what about you, Youngmi?
YM Mayor on Instagram and Twitter, and then you can follow me on TikTok at Youngmi Mayor. My embarrassing TikTok. And you can follow Feeling Asian on TikTok at Feeling Asian Podcast for exclusive clips. And you can follow our Instagram at Feeling Asian Podcast.
Yep. And if you are looking for an audio engineer for your any of your projects, please hit up Sarah Pack on Instagram at im_PAKT. That's at impact. And yeah, Hyunji, thank you again for doing the podcast and for sharing your story. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so
much.
much.
That's it, everyone. Bye.
Bye.